Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good day. Again, my name is Dr. Azrin. In the previous video, we did discuss about the introduction to vector. Now, we would like to focus on vectors in two-dimensional coordinate system or 2D. So, imagine you have this kind of setup that consists of x-axis and y-axis. And there are 2 points which is the origin labeled by the letter O. Meanwhile, another point P consists of information such as A that represent X coordinate and B represent Y coordinate. If the question asks you to construct the position vector of point P, so basically you will have OP and then you will have this arrow that indicate that you are talking about a vector, and then based on these 2 points you will get a vector AB. This is a way to write vector which is by using this pointy bracket, or you can simply write it as AI plus BJ. I and J are unit vectors, such as I represent unit vectors whose direction is along x-axis. Meanwhile, J represent unit vector whose direction is along y-axis. So, from here onwards, we will mention that A actually represent the horizontal component of the vector, meanwhile B represent the vertical component of the vector. Basically, when the question asks you to form a vector, as long as you have 2 points in the Cartesian coordinate system, by right you should be able to form a vector. Or in other words, other than looking for vector in 2D, we can also determine the magnitude of a vector. For example, let me write vector OP as vector V. Vector OP is equal to vector V. Therefore, the magnitude of vector V can be found by using this formula. So this is the notation that represent magnitude of vector V, and then you can find it as simple as square both components and then you find its square root. So in this case you will get A squared plus B squared. So that is easy. Now let's take a look at this example. Let's do this together. So the question asks us to sketch and determine the magnitude of the vector given that vector V is equal to 3i minus 3j. So easy peasy. So what should you do right now? So let's try to sketch the vector first. So the vector is very straightforward. You have to sketch the vector in 2D. So you will have y-axis, x-axis, and then it should tell us that right now we are talking about 3i minus 3j. So in this case, our vector will move 3 units to the right. So let's assume this is equal to 3i, and then it will move 3 units down, which is negative 3j. Am I right? So let me do something about this y-axis, and then you have to move 3 unit down. So therefore, this is your vector 3i minus 3j. And then what should we do right after this? The question also asks us to determine the magnitude of the vector. So magnitude of the vector can be found by using this formula, such as vector V equal to A squared plus B squared. So in this case, it is very clear our A is equal to 3 and our B is equal to negative 3. Then by using the formula, you can get 3 squared plus minus 3 squared. Then you can get 18, if I'm not mistaken. So that's it. Okay, let's do this exercise together. The question mentioned about the position vector of points A and B with respect to origin O. Vector A equal to 3i minus 2j and vector B equal to 2i plus 5j. The question asks us to determine the magnitude of vector AB. So based on the information given to us, we can somehow imagine it in what I shown on the white screen, which is the position vector A or OA is given by this vector 3i minus 2j, or you can simply write it in this notation by using this pointy bracket, which is 3 negative 2. And then we also has information of position vector B, which is OB, or in this case it has been labeled as vector B equal to 2i plus 5j, or you can put it in this pointy bracket 2, 5. And then please remember on how to form vector AB. Vector AB can be formed by using this expression, such as vector AO plus OB, vector OB. So basically, based on the introduction in the previous video, in order to get AO, you can find its negative vector. So in this case, if OA is 3i minus 2j, so AO is the negative vector, which is negative A plus vector B. So in this case, right after I determine the correct expression, so that I can end up having this not position vector but vector AB. So I do something like what I did over here by using the pointy bracket, because I think it is much easier compared to use the IJ, because I don't want to get myself trouble by mixing the information. But if you are familiar with IJ, it's up to you. You can use IJ also. So in this case, when I want to search for negative A, I have to multiply according to the component. Am I right? So negative times with component vector I, and then negative times with component vector j for vector A. And then when I try to perform the addition between two vectors, I'm going to add according to the components. So towards the end, I will get negative I plus 7j. And then the question asks us to determine the magnitude of vector AB. Then by using the formula A squared plus B squared cert, so I will get 50 as the answer. So I hope you can do this on your own by using my reference.